an amazing panel of individuals and an incredible topic. For those who have not joined Hospitality Mastermind, it's all about best practices, both personally and professionally. And we've been encouraging others just to step into hope and opportunities that lie ahead. And we're just very excited for you all to be here today. So our topic is entrepreneurial attitude, the art of leading and maintaining a fulfilling career. So I'm going to pass this over to my business partner, Jen Mattiola. She's going to talk a little bit about what this entails, introduce the panel, and we'll get this going. So please stay on, get to take in everything that each panelist has to say today. So Jen, feel free.
Yeah, we're excited for today. Thank you everyone for joining. So our three main points that we're going to cover today is why having an entrepreneurial mindset is a necessity, whether you're working as an employee or as an employer, how commitment and consistency not only elevates creativity, but also builds a strong foundation for success. And then also action steps required to adjust from a job that you're not passionate about to something that fulfills you and is ultimately rewarding. Of course, that's what we're all chasing here. So our three panelists are going to have a lot to say about that. So I'll first introduce our first speaker, Raul. Why don't we say a hello?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
That's Raul Leal, CEO of Virgin Hotels. In a career that spans over 30 years, Raul has held top management positions for Interstate and Lane Hotels and the Continental companies, and is one of the few hospitality industry executives that understands both lifestyle and branded hotel segments. He's currently the CEO of Virgin Hotels, and it's an extension of Virgin Group owned by Richard Branson. It launched in 2011, and Raul is responsible for the company's overall expansion globally. What are some of the cities that you're going to be expanding in the next couple of years, Raul?
Well, the next opening that we just opened Nashville, and then the next opening we have is Las Vegas in January, knock on wood, hopefully, if COVID behaves. I think that's our next opening. And then we have New Orleans coming up, New York in the summer of 2021. Then we have our first international hotel opening, Edinburgh, and possibly a second international hotel that we haven't announced but is already underway, and then followed by a property in Silicon Valley. So we've got a lot going on the next 18 months, and hopefully COVID will be behind us one of these days so the industry can get back to normal.
Yeah, right on. Lots of big plans. That's exciting. And then we've got Patrick. Patrick, say hi.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. This is Patrick Pahlke, Vice President of Commercial at Proper Hospitality. He's an established global hospitality professional with a strong 25-year track record in sales, marketing, and operations. He specializes in luxury, boutique, and lifestyle sectors with a solid understanding of brand marketing, digital marketing, field and global sales, revenue management, distribution, communications and PR, social media, culture and programming, and event and guest experience management. So that's pretty much everything you need to know to launch a successful business in the industry. Patrick, do you have a couple words for everyone?
Yeah, no, I'm just super excited to be here. I hope we can be of a little bit of inspiration for everyone during these crazy times, and I'm happy to share anything or answer any questions that you guys have.
Amazing, thank you. And our final panelist is Freddy Braidy. Say hi, Freddy.
Hi, everyone. Morning.
Nice. So Freddy is the president of food and beverage operations at 888 Hospitality and founder of BNG Groups. So in the late 2000s, Freddy transitioned from the entertainment business to launch BNG, a full service development, management, marketing, promotions, and special events company based in LA. And Freddy has a background in finance and project management, which helped pave the way to legendary hospitality ventures such as the Kimpton Group for the Hotel Lapeer, Sugar Factory, TCL Chinese Theater in LA, as well as Yamashiro Hollywood. Do you want to say a few words, Freddy?
Happy to be here this morning. Glad to be a part of this and excited to hear what everyone has to say.
Awesome. All right, Chris, go ahead.
Well, guys, as you can see, we have an incredible panel of entrepreneurs on this call, and this is what it's all about, is that entrepreneurial attitude. So we're just going to get things going, and please feel free to type in your questions. Jen will facilitate that along this webinar. So Raul, we'll go to you first. Why is having an entrepreneurial mindset a necessity, especially in these current times that we're in?
Well, I mean, look, given the global issues that we all face, I don't think there's ever been a better time for the entrepreneurship community. People that definitely move a little bit different than the rest of the business world. And if I can say, I'm not sure if I'm a mastermind, but thank you so much for giving me that title today. My mom would be very proud, by the way, so thank you for that. One thing for sure is I think I've always had the entrepreneurial mindset because I've been someone that really has never liked the status quo, which I think is what the world needs today. I think today many people get comfortable, and that's never been for me, that's never been an option. I think I've really stopped taking another direction, chosen a less comfortable path, and never really subscribed to the notion that someone or some company was going to miraculously save me. And I think that's kind of where the world is at today. We have to save each other, right? So a lot of us carry this image of this all-knowing, CEO or visionary who's going to, protect his followers and come up with a great product or a great idea. But look, I think it's an image from the past. I think all of us have the entrepreneurship mindset. You have to dare to be different. You don't just talk about risk taking, but you actually go out ahead and just do it, right? And I think when you come to terms, when you're able to build the emotional stamina and fortitude, and to withstand people telling you that your new idea is naive or just plain stupid, I mean that's a turning point in your life and a moment of growth, right? And it's happened to me, many times. But I do think that in today's world, the entrepreneurial spirit is something that can help us overcome the things that we face, not only in our different businesses, but just globally right now, because entrepreneurs are certainly people that are focused on learning, on moving quickly. It's a great skill set to be able to move and get rid of bureaucracy if you possibly can. And I think one of the things that I've learned as being an entrepreneur and having my own company prior to Virgin Hotels was, you can't be afraid, right? You've got to have the confidence in yourself and, take some risks out there. I think the founder of IKEA said it best that, if you're not taking any risks, you're sleeping. So I do think that it's a great time for the entrepreneurial community in the world right now. There's lots of amazing ideas. There's never been a better time to learn than now. I think I've been around a little bit longer than the rest of the panel, and I can tell you that the tools that you guys have available today, just the amount of information that you can access and whatever, as opposed to when I was growing up is so incredible. And taking advantage of that situation and learning and continuing to learn, I think is something that the entrepreneurial community, is very well suited for and can help the rest of the planet, not just different companies.
Oh,
That's
that is
great.
so good. Thank you. Jen, I know you have a question that you want to expand on, or
Yeah.
one of our panelists.
Freddie, I'm going to shoot this one over to you. How would you define what an entrepreneurial mindset is? And how would you even apply that to someone that is not a business owner themselves? What does that mean?
I think, we do live in a very challenging time. I think people, are afraid to step out of their normal boundaries. So, for me, it's important to sort of understand, what direction in life you want to go in. And that's the most important thing, is to be able to build yourself and, have the freedom to explore different working aspects of life and not be stuck in a routine. And I think a lot of people, find comfort in routine, and that to me is the essence of success, because if you could step out of your shoes a little bit and take some chances and take risks and not be afraid to fail, that strength is what would propel people to sort of, elevate people into a direction that, to me, is what success is, the basis of success.
Freddie, that's so good. It's all about taking that chance and appreciate that response. And Patrick, you've had a long career going from the corporate world and stepping into the lifestyle brand. Do you want to talk about entrepreneurship and the mindset of that and how that has shaped yourself as well?
Yeah, I think, and it's probably something that a lot of us have in common. I mean, one of the key reasons why people join lifestyle hotels or just the boutique hotel industry is often goes way beyond the fact that we just have very pretty and beautifully designed properties, right? I mean, anyone who has worked for a big corporation before knows what red tape means, right? I mean, you have a great idea, you have to bounce it off a committee of like 12 people. They will get back and forth, and then maybe a couple of months later, you either get turned down or your idea will go to implementation. It's not like that in the boutique and lifestyle space, right? I mean, that's one of the essentials of what makes this segment of our industry so interesting and vivid, that when we have a great idea in a smaller company and, your boss or your peers agree, we'll just go to implementation right away. I mean, it's the lack of that red tape that makes this sort of spirit of lifestyle properties so interesting for us. And to be honest, after I did that transition from a big corporate to a lifestyle company, and I've embodied all of that entrepreneurial spirit that's necessary, I would never want to go back to one of those bigger corporations. And I think now more than ever, obviously, it's coming in handy, the fact that we're surrounding ourselves with creative and entrepreneurial people, because for us, just having that entrepreneurial mindset is so essential right now to see where opportunities lie, specifically during hardship periods like COVID.
Right. That's awesome. So when it comes to like entrepreneurial mindset, how would you differentiate someone that thinks that way and versus someone that is, just trying to do their job well? Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are people who need a lot of guidance. There's people who need a very structured framework, and a lot of protection in their way of how they make decisions as a manager. And then there's people who like to take risks. There's people who like to surround themselves with a lot of creative people and like-minded people, who follow what's happening in the market, who seek for a lot of inspiration everywhere, not only in our industry, but also outside of our industry, and continuously challenge themselves and their own thoughts, and just like to make quick decisions as well. And I think that's something that it's, for some people, it's inborn. Some people are naturally good entrepreneurs. And with some people, it just comes from experience, that they like to make quicker decisions and go from idea to implementation in a very quick turnaround.
Patrick, that's awesome. We love that. And everyone who's on this call today, please know we are recording this session and we will send out a copy. If you want to take some good notes, we've got some, very good information. So please do that. I'm going to guide this to Freddy for the next question. Freddy, to build a solid career, you need a foundation of successful working relationships. It really comes down to strategic partnerships. How has commitment and consistency with your colleagues and peers elevated your creativity? Because I know you come from the entertainment background, you've stepped into being a business person. So how have the people around you elevated and supported you in your career?
Yeah, Chris, I mean, that's a really good question, because I think having good people around you is the essence of being able to grow. So it's a challenge in today's world to find people that are like-minded, that understand what you understand, see the same vision. But I think as an entrepreneur, that, you have to find those people. It's constantly, recruitment is a big thing. And finding people that see the same vision, that move at the same pace as you, is really a very important thing, because that could make or break an operation. So, in our business especially, we are, very day to day. So everything is, especially in entertainment and hospitality, you're always catering to people. And it's important that those people are taken care of. And, you can't be in every place. I mean, as we grow in all of our, different venues, especially with our sugar factory concept, which is now, around the United States in almost 30 locations, to keep the consistency of, the brand, and to keep the consistency of your vision alive, you're going to need good people around you. And training those people is really the most important thing in my mind.
No, thank you for sharing. That is so good. Raul, going to you. You've had some amazing people around you, and you've continually worked up the ladder in your career. Can you expand about those partnerships and the colleagues you've worked with?
Yeah, I mean, I've been really lucky. I really have been. I mean, I was a kid that just jumped into the hospitality business when I was 15 or 16 years old, and started working with my dad in a hotel restaurant. And I had a dream that I wanted to become a general manager one day. And that dream, by the way, was solely based on the fact that I would see the GM coming in and having breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day and signing the check. And I had said to my dad, I want to be that guy, right? I thought, what a great job, right? But my journey has been, it's been great. It's been a great adventure. But what has benefited me a great deal is that I have really had some exceptional mentors and great friends along the way. And, I've been lucky to have been surrounded by some amazing people that have really helped me. Who knows, where I would be now if it weren't for those people. So for everybody out there looking to grow, I just think it's so important to have great friends and mentors in the industry that you can, just pick up the phone and ask a question, when you need to. Put your ego aside and ask for help. I think no one has all the answers, but I think if you ask some of the great entrepreneurs of the world, they'll tell you that the key to success is who you surround yourself with. And that's kind of the key, I think, in life as well. So I would tell you that it's so important to keep in touch on a regular basis, with people in the industry. And I was telling somebody the story the other day. I remember now we have all kinds of tools that help us be socially connected, but I remember that I was pretty avid when all you had was a Rolodex in the 90s. And you had these little cards, and you had to, just write people's names and phone numbers and things. And even back then, I think I understood the value of always keeping in touch with your peers and your mentors. And again, just ask for help when you need it. And it's always great to get a second opinion about things. But I've got a wonderful network of friends and people that have helped me over the years. And I highly encourage everyone to stay in touch with the people close to you, and don't just wait for the moment when you need something. Just reach out to them on a regular basis. Your network is a compilation of people over your life that can help you in many different ways.
And Raul, it's so true. You are who you surround yourself with. And everyone that is on this call today, mentorship is such a key component to your success. So it's great to hear that you surrounded yourself with those people, and look where it's brought you. Patrick, let's talk about the colleagues, the peers, the people in your life who has sparked creativity for you as well.
Yeah, I mean, very similar with Raul. I kind of also started off as a little boy. I was staying in a hotel with my parents. We had just relocated from one country to another. So we were finding ourselves in Jakarta in 1981. Now I'm giving away my age. I was a young boy. And we were sitting at the Hilton Hotel, which was our home for 2 months at the time. And there was this guy who was walking around, sharply dressed, signing the bills, like Raul said, who was kind of the guy who was putting this perfect show together, that just worked. was a Swiss guy called Mr. Schützendorf, old school GM. And I said to my mom, one day I'm going to be this guy. And that's kind of how it started. And then I never pivoted from that sort of childhood dream. And I was also very lucky that, you know, along my career in the last 25 years in this industry, I've had a number of amazing mentors, you know, both in the luxury, in the lifestyle, in the corporate and independent world, you know, who have really shaped my decision making and who have opened up my mind, you know, to taking risks, you know, which, you know, it's where we're finding ourselves now, you know, with the whole discussion around entrepreneurship. But really how to realize that in our world, I think, like Freddy said earlier, to me, it's most important that we're really hiring people that are like-minded. You know, when we say in lifestyle that we need to hire people that are on brand, I think it sounds a little discriminating at the first tone, but it actually makes a lot of sense, you know, because we need to have people that have the same values, you know, and have the same sort of entrepreneurial and risk-taking mindset in order for us to be successful. Because in our industry, we work with a lot less structure, with a lot less guidelines, with a lot less operational concepts than some of the big corporates. And we have to, you know, that's the only way to stay creative, by being anti-rigid. And so obviously you need to have people who thrive in that kind of environment. And the rest you can train, I really think. And then I think also if you have creative people around you who continuously challenge your way of thinking, it helps the company to grow. It helps myself to also still grow and adapt more to different situations.
Patrick, it's great to hear at such a young age you saw someone that became an example for you, and that sparked the interest to say, I'm going to be like that person, and took that next step. So very cool. Jen,
I was 6 years old and never changed my mind.
I love that. Jen, we have a question, I think, from the audience.
Yeah, we've got Alex, and he asks, or she, sorry, what are your thoughts on big corporate mergers? Are they helping or hurting hospitality? Who wants to answer that one?
Well, I can speak to it. Look, I think at the end of the day, the big corporate mergers, you know, one thing that it does hurt, I think, in our business is you lose a lot of the cultural side of the business, especially when you have a lifestyle hotel company, let's say, gets eaten up by a broader brand that's what you would call a legacy brand that maybe has been doing business a certain way for a long time. So I think from the cultural perspective, and what the consumer is looking for today, the consumer of today is looking for new experiences, less branded, especially the what we call the traveling nomads of the world today, right? Which a lot of people just love to travel today more than they did 20 years ago and have the access to be able to do it. But I think it does hurt when you have a big company that swallows up a small company that's been special, has had a good culture, has worked on that culture, and all of a sudden they get eaten up by this big behemoth. So if you're saying branded eating up a lifestyle hotel company, I think definitely hurts our culture of lifestyle hotels, because there's always a transition period and the smaller company winds up losing, in my opinion. Is it better for business? Is it better for the owners? Because then you have better scale, you have reduced costs, a bigger brand can bring? Absolutely. But you do kind of lose that special, you know, kind of je ne sais quoi that made those properties special to begin with. So it's a bit of a trade.
Absolutely. Freddy or Patrick, do you have anything to say there?
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Got it.
I tend to agree with Raul. I mean, there are certain mergers that help. Hello?
Yep, go ahead.
So there are certain mergers that do work well, and they're, you know, meant to be, and there's others that just don't, because the compatibility isn't there. And I think Raul put it perfectly, you know, that you lose a sense of identity when certain, you know, brands take other brands over, because they assimilate, and, you know, what was, you know, what made the essence of something so beautiful gets lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, there's different kinds of mergers, right? I mean, I've been through mergers in the past where you have two like-minded companies getting together. You know, I was with a smaller lifestyle company in Asia Pacific that got partially acquired by a larger lifestyle company that was based in the States, and we largely had the same values. You know, that entrepreneurial spirit that was really seen throughout all the properties, and I thought that was kind of a merger or a match made in heaven. So I think that really worked well. But then on the other side, you've got these big corporates that Raul was mentioning earlier, you know, that have a tendency often to sometimes kill the soul and the spirit of a very agile lifestyle operation. And I think that's really where the problem starts with those. And yeah, I mean, it's it's just a sign of our times, you know. Unfortunately, a lot of small companies, they grow, and then at one point a price tag is put on it, and the big corporates take over.
And thank you all for expanding on that question. Hopefully, Alex, you got the answer that you wanted. And I'm going to move along to the next question. And I think this is a great one for everyone here on this call. And this is directed for you, Raul, to start, is what self-disciplines have kept you accountable to establish a purpose, a mission, a set of goals within your culture? And how have you mentored others to do the same? So maybe you can share, especially during these times, those self-disciplines that have kept you moving forward, and you've seen results out of those.
I mean, look, I think I learned. I think I learned early on. I mean, you know, accountability is critical, right? I mean, if you can't execute, I mean, no matter what period of time you're in, whether it's when things are good or things are bad, you know, when things are wonderful, it's so easy, right? People, you know, things are great and your hotels are performing and times are good. I mean, the question is, can you execute when things are bad? So from my perspective, I think it's always been, you know, starting with the end in mind, which is whatever hotel or business I'm running or operating, we have to execute to the expectation of the investors who have put up their money at risk, you know, to support our organization, right? Whether it be the management company or the individual hotel owners or whatever else. So it is about creating a culture of accountability and making sure that everybody's in a position to monitor, you know, their own performance. And once you outline clearly and with great transparency what the purpose of the organization is, why the organization exists to begin with, right? And people buy into that, you don't really have to police accountability. If you have the right people inside your organization, they will hold themselves accountable. But I think at the end of the day, the truth of execution really trumps everything, whether in good times and bad times. But I do believe that giving people as much information as possible about the goals of the organization, you know, sharing financial information. I'm a big believer in the quality improvement process, and I always have been. And some of the guiding tenets for the quality improvement process, whether it's Six Sigma or total quality management, is sharing as much information as possible. And those programs have been around for years and years, but only now are people coming to terms with the fact that transparency is so critical if you want your teams to buy in on the ultimate goal of the organization and the purpose of the organization. So for us, it starts with purpose first. And once everybody understands that purpose, it's pretty easy to hold everybody accountable. You know, they actually do it themselves.
Purpose is such a key component, and I love what you said about that. So thank you so much for sharing. And Freddy, I know you've been through quite a bit. You know, you have the sugar factory and theaters, and some have been open, some have been closed, and you've led several employees. What has kept you staying focused on your disciplines and being a mentor to those during these challenging times?
I think for us, again, you know, transparency, purpose, all of these are great words. You know, this is kind of something that we all share as entrepreneurs. These are all things that we all, use as our sort of purpose in what we're trying to build. but it's tough, you know. I mean, especially in these times right now, when you aren't able to open certain locations, when people are not able to work as they used to a year ago. It was a lot different than it is today. So keeping people motivated, giving them goals, and keeping them focused on what the overall business model is important. And in certain areas, we've had to adapt and take employees to have them do other things that they're not used to doing. And that is difficult. That's something that takes a lot of work, and something that we're constantly working on. But I think self-discipline to me is something that is very important, because you have to be, as a leader, you have to be in charge. So you have to keep that sort of focus, even if things are going terrible. You still have to keep everyone motivated and moving in the right direction. So
Yeah,
that's how I see it.
I love that, Freddie. Thank you so much. And before we get to you, Patrick, we're going to do a small pivot, and I'm going to detour this to Jen. Jen, I know you want to expand a little bit about what we've launched and what we're creating, and how everyone here can be a potential participant. So I'll give it to you. Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, so earlier we talked about mentorship and how it's just so important and essential in someone's career to have mentors and leaders to guide them and support them, right? So Chris and I have launched this awesome project. You may have heard about it, Mindset Hospitality, and it's an exclusive mentorship organization for hospitality professionals who want to advance their career and achieve their potential faster. So we've got experts that we have collaborated with, and they've done a lot of right things in their career, but also a lot of things wrong. So you get access to learn what worked for them, but also learn from their mistakes, and as they're rebuilding and growing and reinventing their businesses today. So I just want to give you a chance to learn more about it. I'm going to launch this poll, and if everyone can just say either yes or no to learn more, that would be awesome.
And just to expand on Jen, guys, I would encourage yes, because we have seasoned industry leaders who are phenomenal in this space, who have really shaken things up and taken business to the next level, and can be a resource to propel your career and also step into something new. So hopefully we can expand and share a little more about this with you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you all for taking that poll, and we'll keep diving in. We've got a couple more questions, and thank you so much again for all your participation and asking questions along the way. So Patrick, I'm going to go back to you and start with this next question. It's how can one adjust from a unsatisfying job to a career enhancing opportunity? And I know we've all been through those times, right? Where we're kind of stuck in this place. And is this something I really want to be a part of? What would be your advice to everyone here to say, be a part of a career, be a part of an opportunity that will accelerate you both personally and professionally?
Yeah, I think you said the key word just now already. I think number one is you got to find the opportunities in situation that you're in, and sometimes that might require that you think outside of your own job scope. You have to ask why does it look like it is a dead end that you're in right now in your career? And that definitely does not have to be the end to anything. There's normally a new beginning in that for everyone. So that could also mean maybe that new opportunity that you need in order to thrive might not be with your own company. That maybe the opportunity lies outside. I've been at that point one time where I got a little frustrated. I had been working in China for 8 years, and my company had sort of labeled me as a China expert. They said, Patrick, great guy. He's had through it for 8 years. We definitely want to keep him in China at all costs. And after 8 years, I told my CEO, it was a great time. It was a great learning experience, but there's other parts of the world that I want to experience, and I'm kind of done with China. the result of that is that the next 3 general manager positions at that stage that were offered to me by my company were all in China. And then after a couple of months, I said, okay, I think maybe that's a sign, like what were you always keen on? What has always triggered your interest? And I was working in luxury for a big corporation back then. And I was always interested in lifestyle, So one time I was on a trip to Bali. I got introduced to someone who founded a very amazing luxury lifestyle brand, mainly focusing on resorts. And then one thing kind of led to another, and I had a job offer to move into the lifestyle space, and I wasn't even actively looking, but I had just made that decision, maybe that's an opportunity to do something that you always wanted to do. And I've never looked back since. Always been in lifestyle since then, and no regrets so far.
Patrick, thank you for sharing. And Raul, I know during our panel walkthrough, you talked a little bit about your experience and how you launched Desired Hotels. So do you want to expand a little bit about what that was for you?
Yeah, I will. And I'll also speak to a little bit of how, what are you thinking about the future? I mean, look, there's no straight line in life, as they say, right? So I can only speak to kind of what's worked for me. I had a very specific goal in mind, obviously, as I mentioned, when I was younger, I wanted to become a general manager of a hotel. And, first of all, that was the goal. And I actually wanted to be a general manager by a certain age. So on top of that, but I understood the things that I didn't know and the things that I needed to learn to get there. And, oddly enough, one of the things was really food and beverage. And way back then, if you wanted to become a general manager, if you didn't understand food and beverage back then, it was never going to happen, right? And I did something different. I actually quit a front office manager's job that I had at a great hotel, and then took a big pay cut just to become a steward in the back of the house of the same hotel, so that I could begin to learn food and beverage from the ground up. And I spent several years there and rose up through the ranks and whatever else. But I made a move that was part of the goal process for me. I needed to learn that side of the business. And I decided, and today that's probably one of the best moves that I've ever made in my career. And I was living by myself and had to walk along, making a lot less money in the other job. But I think it's about really setting goals, putting it out there exactly as to what are you passionate about? What do you want to do? Something that's always helped me along the way has been, I've let people know, either superiors or peers or whatever, exactly what I was thinking. What did I want to accomplish? What were my goals? And I will tell you, what I found out almost to a fault is that absolutely people will help you if you let them know. And if you put it out there, somewhere along the way, people will definitely help you. So I highly recommend that, once you understand what your goals are and when you want to get there, that's where we go back to the whole peer relationship, mentor relationship, and just friends in the industry, and you can totally get there. Desired Hotels was something that, I saw as a niche in the year 2000. My company was a company called Tecton Hospitality, and I was a partner in that company. But frankly, at the time, I was bored out of my mind with all the branded hotels. And I had seen some of the wonderful things that Ian Schrager was doing with Delano and Woodforth. And so we launched a hotel management company in Miami called Desires Hotels. And we were probably one of the first hotel management companies geared specifically for the boutique hotel business. And it became very successful. Actually, David Lopez is in the audience, was the GM of one of our hotels in New York. And he's an amazing executive and did a great job for us during the time we were together, lifelong friend. But I think going back to the entrepreneurship piece of it, I saw an opportunity. We didn't necessarily have the money to launch, but we did it anyway. And we put together a plan and a goal to get to a certain number of hotels, and it worked out well for us. But we owned that company, and then I wound up selling that company before I came to Virgin. But that's how I met Richard Branson. So if you think about the irony of it, I met Richard at one of our hotels in Miami Beach, the Betsy, which was the only 5-star hotel in Miami Beach at the time. And had I not launched that company, Richard may have stayed at that hotel. We may not have been running it. I never would have met him. I never would have joined, Virgin Hotels as a CEO. So I think it was all fortuitous, but I just think sometimes you got to jump and go with it. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
I love that you said that is, don't be afraid to ask, put yourself out there and know everything's going to work itself out. So it's great to see how your career has grown and developed along the way.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. Freddy, I've got a question for you. This is from David Mogg. When taking the plunge to start your own company, did you have funding from investors lined up, or did you rely on multiple sweat equity deals? How did that work out for you? How did you go about that process?
It was a combination of both. It was a combination of having some, good people that, had money, that believed in, what I wanted to do and gave me an opportunity to show them what I could do. I actually have a little story. I mean, when I first originally started, I wasn't in hospitality. I was actually in the film business. So I was producing movies. While in college, I was working at a company running scripts to studios. Back then there was no Waze, there was no travel guides, so you had to look at maps to see where everything was. And that was always a fun thing to do with the Thomas guy. But in doing that, I mean, I wanted more. I wanted to produce, my own movies. That was kind of, my goal. So while in school, I was doing that. I decided to, find a script that I really enjoyed, because I would read a lot of these scripts that were coming from the studios that were never made. So I ended up finding something that I liked, buying the rights to it and putting the financing together for it. I was at the time, what happened? Sorry, 1 second. I was 19 years old. So I didn't really know much. I didn't really understand much, but, just by simply being around good people and seeing, what they did and how they did it, it just kind of propelled me to, do it. And I figured it out. I got a script, I got the rights, I financed it, I produced it. And that kind of, that started my career in the film business. So, looking at that, I think it's important, to sort of understand that in having an opportunity to get out of a sort of one part of your career and move on to the other, I think you just got to take that chance. You got to take that risk and just have good people around you, make good relationships, and, always keep those relationships, because you never know, who you're going to run into down the line and how they're going to affect your life.
Yeah. Thank you, Freddie. And, this last question is really for everyone here in this audience. It's all about education and training. And Raul, I'm going to go back to you on this. The CEO of General Electric states a 65-year-old that's still learning is young. A 25-year-old that thinks he knows it all is too old. So how have you stayed humble to continue learning and incorporating higher education into your workforce? Because right now, especially in this time, there's so many distractions. We could turn on the news and get stuff that ponders with our mind, but how can we really stay focused on focusing in our career and learning the right way?
Well, thank you. I mean, look, I think you've probably heard the saying that says, predicting the future is one thing, but, doing something about it is really quite another. So I think, if you want to be successful, you've got to work hard and become a real student of your profession, and, create your own future, because, opportunity is not the same as action. And really, I think the learning process never really stops. And you always have to be looking out for new trends and patterns that are going to make you or your company stand out, right? But I do think there's never been a better opportunity in history to learn than today. I mean, I certainly today read more than I have in my entire life. I just continue to, seek out areas that I know I need to be better at, and still continue to, deal with all the leadership issues that are complex today, given all the generations and all the voice that people have today as opposed to 20 years ago. But I think at the end of the day, for me, it's really about a couple of things. I mean, obviously humble beginnings, like a lot of us in our industry, which I think is wonderful. But it is about creating an environment where our teams, do have a voice. There is a learning environment. We have a compelling vision and purpose, and that you always understand that you never really get there by yourself, and that we as leaders have to listen and offer ideas for consideration, and integrate other people's perspectives, and empower our teams to really translate that vision into measurable outcomes, right? I think a true visionary is an individual that harnesses all the brain power inside the organization and allows their people to really contribute on a variety of different levels. I think back to myself, I think I'm still that dishwasher, that dish person at heart. I really never, my personality's never really changed, even, despite what position. But I do think at the end of the day, it's about creating an environment, as I say to our GMs, everyone on the team has something that they can contribute, especially that person in the back of the house that you probably never ever get to see. So I think it's important to be humble, always. But it's important to keep learning as much as you possibly can, even about things that you maybe don't have any interest in. But I think they're going to help you grow as an individual and help others.
Thank you, Raul. We really appreciate that explanation. Patrick, do you want to share with the audience as far as just higher education, what you've done to stay focused in that space?
Higher education, I mean, at Proper, for example, what we're doing, that's something that we're offering to all management staff and to our colleagues who are aspiring to become managers, are complimentary Cornell e-learning courses that we're very proud of, that we're offering them. And I think for the rest, it's really like going back to basics. One of the best advice that I've ever gotten was actually from a former CEO of mine who said, "You have 2 ears and 1 mouth, use them in proportion." So again, it goes back to what Raul said, it's listen is the most important thing, first of all, in order to encourage that sort of environment of learning, because you need to know where the needs are. You need to know what people are thinking, how people are feeling. What their opinion are on things. And then secondly, you have to foster an environment where people always feel encouraged to voice out their opinion and make them feel like they can contribute, not just amongst people on the management level, but back to the old dishwasher, like Raul said earlier. Yeah, so I can only pass on that advice, with the 2 ears and 1 mouth on to everyone that I meet in my company that I'm, or people outside that I'm coming across.
I like
Great
that
advice. So good.
Yeah, and we've got another question from the audience. Raul, I'll direct this one to you. When it comes to finding a GM or promoting a VP, what do you look for? What's crucial to see someone in that position? And do you think a bachelor's or master's in hospitality is necessary?
That's a great question. I mean, look, I think education is always a wonderful thing. But I think I've seen great executives that have, a wonderful, degree, and I've seen amazing executives, that don't. I think, Richard Branson's one of those, right? I mean, Richard really didn't, graduate from high school, I don't think, or whatever else. So I think it's about, their aptitude and kind of how they see life in general. I mean, we're looking for some qualities that maybe some other companies may not be. And I think it's always been a bit of a trademark of mine, but certainly one of the things I'm looking for is someone that has a sense of humor, believe it or not, as one of the first things. We're going to assume that they have all the skill set that they need, all the technical expertise that they need, but do they take themselves too seriously? One of the things that I've often deliberated about with the lifestyle side of the business is that, sometimes it seems like the lifestyle side of the business is a bit too red rope, and we take ourselves too seriously. We're kind of in the entertainment business as I see it. We should be entertaining customers, and, everybody should, the red rope sometimes is the turnoff for people. But going back to what you're saying, we're looking for people that have the right personality, obviously the skill set that we need, but somebody who doesn't take themselves too seriously and moves quickly and fluidly, that's not bound by a bunch of SOPs or whatever else that have to be applied all the time. So entrepreneurial.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I'm
Mm.
sure, Freddie, you would have a lot to say there too. Like what is important for you in your path of success, other than just education?
I think education is obviously key, but again, I think personality, I think, being able to react to certain situations is important. I think a lot of that is experience, and a lot of that is just constantly like teaching yourself how to be a better person and how to deal with people, because we work in this world and live in this world where, how you deal with people is very important. And especially in hospitality, especially in the restaurant business, customers are very, when they first walk in the door, I mean, that's when you either gain their trust or you lose their trust. From the minute that they're there till they leave, you need every aspect of that, experience to be 100%. Otherwise, you're going to lose that customer. So, I think, learning is a very, very important thing. And I don't think any of us ever stop learning. And if you ever think you know everything, then I think you truly are too old.
Mm-hmm. Freddie, that's so good. And Freddie, Patrick, Raul, we can't thank you enough for all your wisdom, knowledge, just all the hard work you've put out there to be an example, an entrepreneur to everyone out there. And why don't we give a virtual round of applause who stayed on this webinar for our panelists today. And again, thank you, Jen, for being a supporter and moderator and amazing business partner. And guys, tune in. November 18th is our next speaker. We have Larry Broughton of Broughton Hospitality and Broughton Hotels. And he's a CEO and author who's going to be coming on and speaking, but it just keeps getting more exciting. So we appreciate each one of you. Have an amazing rest of the week. And please tune in for more of Mindset Hospitality. All right, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
We appreciate you guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.